This is Carrigan and Company. Are you looking for the perfect holiday gift for the Boston lover on your list? My friends at College Hype can help. My City Gear, powered by College Hype, has a wide array of custom apparel for your favorite townie. Shop for short and long sleeve t-shirts, hoodies, and much more, all in a wide variety of designs. Plus, they have apparel that's specific to Boston, Charlestown, Dorchester, and Southie. Enter code KIM20 at mycitygear.com to get 20% off your entire order. That's promo code KIM20 for 20% off at mycitygear.com. This is Kim Carrigan, and coming up next on Carrigan and Company, keeping me company today, a local guy who's done very well. This is Carrigan and Company.
Carrigan and Company is here for you. Yes, Carrigan and Company is here for you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Carrigan and Company. In fact, it's our 48th episode, and it's so good to have you with us. Of course, brought to us by A&B Burger. We've got a really terrific show today, and I'm so excited because my co-host, the person keeping me company today, is someone who's been with us before, but we had to greet him by Zoom, so it's great to have him here in the studio, and we're going to get to him in just a second. But before we do, I just want to tell you about something special that happened to us here at Carrigan and Company, and we so appreciate it. We are featured in this month's, the most recent magazine edition of Boston Man magazine. It was back in October when the editor-in-chief of the magazine, Matt Rubidoux, was here on the show, and he asked if we would have some interest, and of course we said yes. And it's a lovely article. We hope that you'll check it out. Again, that's Boston Man magazine. All right. So let's get to today's episode. Very excited about our guest. He is an actor, he's a writer, he's a producer. He's also a New England native, which is really cool. It's so great to have actor Tom Schanley here in the studio with us. Hi.
Kim, how are you?
I'm great. I mean, it's so good to see you in person.
Well, it's so great to be here in person and to see this studio with the picture window out into the public.
Yes. You are sort of like an animal at the zoo, right? You know, they can walk right up to the window.
I'm sure every guest host comes and says the same thing, but it's pretty cool, you know? And one thing I do want to thank you, because now it's official, and I'm going to be able to say that I played the garden. So it's on my resume now, so everything else is gravy after that.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just downhill from here. You know, I got to tell you, Tom, it was so funny. Our listeners and our viewers, I want them to hear you do a little bit of your Boston accent because you came in and you started to do it. And at first I thought, wow, here's an actor who can really do the Boston accent. And then it dawned on me, wait a minute, this is a guy from Boston. That is his accent.
There's the other one that's more of the accent, I guess.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Because sure, you come from here, you know, you get home, you start talking like this. It's easy. It's very relaxing, actually. It's like Zen for me. So,
and it's real. You know, is there anything worse than actors who attempt a Boston accent? Because it's usually so bad, so bad.
Sometimes a little over the top. And I'm sure I do it over the top sometimes because it can be very entertaining when it's over the top.
Yeah.
I will say, it's a great accent. I love it.
Yeah, you know, everybody, I'm from the Midwest. So my family, honestly, I've lived out here for many, many years. My husband and I have. But our family still comes and people start talking and my dad will look at me like, are they speaking English? I can't understand that. Because it can get a little thick at times, you know, just depending on where you live. Tell everybody where you're actually from.
Well, I grew up in Manchester, now Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts, up near Gloucester and Rockport.
Yeah, absolutely. And were there and went to school up in New Hampshire for a while?
I jumped everywhere, yeah. I was at the University of New Hampshire. I got an opportunity to study in San Diego, so I was at San Diego State for a while. Then through someone I used to competitively ski with's father, ran the drama department at University of Southern Maine, had an exchange with a school in England. So I jumped into there, went to England to study Shakespeare for a while, then jumped back, and I was at USC when, you know, things kind of started rolling for me. So, yeah, I jumped everywhere for school.
So, you know, when you were on the first time, and we talked about, and we'll talk a little bit more here in a second about some of the fabulous roles that you've had, but when you were on before, I don't think we really got into I mean, had you always thought you'd be an actor? Was that the goal, or are you one of these guys who stumbled into that?
No, I was 16 when I made that decision. We had a great summer community theater in Manchester, and I got a taste for it there. And it was funny. One of the women who was doing one of the leads was driving me home one night. I'm a kid, and 16 is when you start thinking about, well, what do I want to do with my life?
Right.
What do I want to do? And she said, well, what about being an actor? And I stopped and I said, I never thought of acting as a job. It was fun.
Sure.
Because
sure.
it's a job, you have to go to work. But it's that was kind of the catalyst of me really thinking about it and making that decision, ironically enough, a car ride home.
Now, did you have parents who said, oh, I think that's a great idea? Or did you have parents who said, that's really super, let's get a real job?
You know what? The first one.
Yeah.
My folks were, obviously a little apprehensive about something like that, but they were always super supportive in what we wanted to do, kind of follow your passion, follow your heart. Even though it was probably against their grain, but they were smart enough to know that, different generation and different things.
Yeah.
So when it sort of paid off, I felt a bit of relief, with my mom and dad to say, see, it actually.
Yeah, it really did work. It's funny because, I think when you pursue something like that, you do have to have that kind of support. When I was a kid, I have to tell you, and I don't know, Tom, how much, because you've been away from here for a long time, but I was a television news anchor here for many, many years. But I, as a young girl, I wanted to be a sports anchor. And, back at that point, no women were sports anchors, right?
Yeah.
My parents thought that was the greatest idea they'd ever heard. And they were all in on that. And they were all in on it all along. And even when I, changed gears and went toward news, and I would tell them that there were stacks of tapes like this, all the way around the room of people trying out for different jobs, applying for jobs.
Yeah.
They still stuck with me. And I think that makes all the difference.
It's huge.
It really is.
It really is huge.
Yeah.
And without any doubt in it, too. Not like, that's great, go for it, but, never any of that from my folks.
Your fallback could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of that. And as you get older, you appreciate how much that really means. Because you're young, you're going out in the world, you doubt yourself. And there's no one more insecure in the world than an actor.
Yeah.
Not that I've experienced. Certainly
Right.
it's like, there's a good facade, but we're all basically insecure. Sorry, gang, but it is true.
Well, it's much easier to play someone else, isn't it, than to be you? You know?
Oh, it's a lot
I
more.
think that's
a lot more fun, too.
Yeah. I think that's the case for a lot of people. Yeah. So talk about the very first big role, that you got and
I was lucky
how that happened.
out of the gate.
Okay.
I was
It's not lucky, by the way.
Well,
there's a certain amount of luck, but I think you're talented.
Okay, lucky is the wrong word. It was right place at the right time.
Okay, fair enough.
I had been fortunate enough when I was first in Los Angeles to meet an agent who saw me in a play and was helping me along. He wasn't handling me. I was too young, but and he'd been giving me advice. And I got back from England and. He said, I'm going to send you out on a few auditions. It was a pilot season. Wow. And I said, oh, okay. And I was a hard studier. I had some chops, but I auditioned for a show called The Yellow Rose, which was on the heels of the old, this is dating me, but the old nighttime soaps, Dallas, Dynasty. This was 1983. It was about a ranch in Texas.
This is an NBC program, was
Correct.
It not? Yeah. Okay.
And the role was to play David Soul's son. Now, again, dating myself, David Soul of Starsky and Hutch. Mm-hmm. Well, he could be my father. So in terms of the look and everything, it was a great fit.
Right.
And I booked the role. I shot the pilot on my spring break while I was at USC, which was, it was that dream come true kind of a thing. And but the great thing about it was I was the only rookie on the show. It was Sam Elliott, Sybil Shepherd, Susan Onspach, Kenny Curtis. Kenny Curtis was from Gunsmoke. These are all old Western guys. And we shot only one season, but it was to this day one of the best jobs I ever had. Was the first.
And how was it to get that first dollar when you're acting like that? That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it was. Seemingly from what it was a pretty strong amount of money for me, and it wasn't that much.
Sure.
Comparatively speaking, I was a rookie, but for me, it was like, wow. But the this is going to sound really cliche, but the money really was secondary. You know, it was like, oh, I'm going to make money for this. You know, it was like, I'm going to be on this set. I'm on location in Texas. And I get to work with these extraordinary people. I mean, one thing I did, I was smart enough to know how lucky I was.
Good.
You know, at that moment.
Yeah.
So it was a great, unbelievable experience.
Well, it was the beginning of what has been a really incredible career, and you've certainly had a lot of television roles.
Yeah.
Is there one in particular, or one show in particular, that stands out to you that you loved more than any?
You know.
I know it's a hard question, isn't it?
No, because I'm one of those journeyman guys. I'm kind of, what do they say, that guy from that thing, you know. But when I was younger, I got to do some very cool roles. There was one that's particularly cool because I used to watch the show as a kid. There was a show called The $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah.
And we used to. It was like, had to watch it, and they tried to do a reboot of the series with a son, and I got cast as Lee Major's son. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, as soon as I got on a plane, I crashed. So you know, you got to rebuild me, and so I got rebuilt, and I got to do that bionic stuff. Which was, but it was just, as you know, it was one of my favorites because it was part of my childhood.
Absolutely.
I got to live,
right.
You know, it was pretty cool.
Who would have ever known, right, at that point, that's where you'd be.
But there have been a lot of extraordinary shows and a lot of great talent I've gotten a chance to work with, so I'm very happy about that.
Just saw you on NCSI between
NCIS.
I'm sorry, NCIS. Yeah. The last time you were here, that was coming up.
Yes.
And so we got to see you, I think it was in November is when we saw you on there.
Yeah, it was the 11th, I think.
Yeah, and that's a show that you have been on before.
Yeah,
Many
I
times.
did one of those shows earlier. Mm-hmm. I think I mentioned this on our interview, but I got to mention again, my wife found this out. Apparently, as a guest performer, I have appeared on more of the NCIS franchise, because I go way back to JAG, which was the precursor, than any other actor. So I've got, you know, I'm on a list, which is good. It's nice to be on a list.
You bet. That's the kind of list you want to be on. Absolutely. And what about theater? Because theater is a thing for you. You've certainly done film. You know, is there one you love?
I love theater. You know, you don't do it. It's probably my own fault. You don't do it as much in LA. You know, there's opportunity, but obviously, you know, you've really got to go after it more. And but I do love theater. I guess the last play I did was an original play by my friend Dominic Hoffman called Emmett and Ava. It was a few years ago. I did Cat on a Hot Tin Roof before that. Wow. You know. I had a really great experience with Los Angeles, the LA Shakespeare Festival. We did Julius Caesar. Excuse me. I played Mark Antony in that. But what was interesting is that the artistic director, Ben Donnenberg, always looking for different ways to do theater. And what he did was, it was after the '94 earthquakes. It was a while ago. And they had shut down City Hall for reconstruction. So we did this Roman play on the steps of downtown City Hall with the streets shut down and 1,000 people on the street. So we were doing it on that under that real facade, those stone pillars. It was an extraordinary experience. So that's one of my favorite experiences of everything.
Well, it's so interesting because you said, you know, that you had gone to England and studied Shakespeare, and it sounds like to me though you haven't really used that as much as maybe you had anticipated. Well, or did you just think it was a good basis for what you do?
No, yeah. I mean, I love Shakespeare to this day. I haven't done as much as I would like. You know, the opportunity hasn't necessarily been there. You know, it's timing. Sure. You know, would I do more? Sure. You know, I would love to do more of that.
That's impressive to me. I mean, just reading it is a big deal for me, but the idea of acting it is really incredible.
Yeah, it's, you know, I've been lucky that I kind of liked it from a younger age. So I was able to study, you know, as I said, in England, whereas the Mecca, as they say. So it's great. I love the medium.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, we've got lots to talk about.
Yes.
But we've also got some guests who are going to join us. And I'm very excited about that. I don't know if you're a hockey fan or if you keep up with the Bruins here, but we've got somebody special from the Bruins who's going to join us in just a bit. And my understanding is that we're going to get a little bit of a show. So I'm excited about that. Yes.
I like that.
But before we do that, have you appeared in reality TV at all?
I have never done any reality.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if reality TV is real, is it? I don't know. We're going to find out, right?
We are, yeah. Yeah, that's what I hear.
All right. So coming up next, we're going to be joined by a woman who has done a lot of reality TV. She is a producer. She also has her own business, and we're going to talk about that as well. You're listening to Carrigan and Company. Are you looking for the perfect holiday gift for the Boston lover on your list? My friends at College Hype can help. My City Gear, powered by College Hype, has a wide array of custom apparel for your favorite townie. Shop for short and long sleeve t-shirts, hoodies, and much more, all in a wide variety of designs. Plus, they have apparel that's specific to Boston, Charlestown, Dorchester, and Southie. Enter code KIM20 at mycitygear.com to get 20% off your entire order. That's promo code KIM20 for 20% off at mycitygear.com. This segment of Carrigan and Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everybody, to Carrigan and Company. So good to have you with us, and so great to have Tom Schanley with me today. It's great to have you here, my friend.
So great to be here.
So you say you've never been in reality TV.
I have not, no.
Okay,
no.
But our next guest could possibly put you in some reality TV, I think. If
I'm ready to go.
If you would like that. We are joined by Allison Mandelbaum, and she has worked in reality TV for many, many years. She has been a producer and involved with many shows, dating back all the way to MTV and the Real World, right, Allison?
Yep. Wow. Yes, where it all began.
Yeah, that's it, where it all began. She's exactly right. Yeah. And is currently working on 90 Day Fiancé, which is one that's very popular, I know. We can stay away from the current season, but tell us about how you originally got involved in reality TV.
Yes. So it's so funny. So I went to Syracuse University and I went to Newhouse School of Communications. When I went to go visit the school and I heard that television, radio, and film was a possible major, I was blown away. Like, as a high school kid, how is that even something that I could major in? So right away I was sold and knew that I had to do this. So through my classes, I ended up getting internships while I was in college. One of my first internships was at Sesame Street. And then I got an internship at the Montel Williams show, dating myself a little bit. But that ended up being my first job right out of college. I just kept in touch with them. And, how it works in TV and reality TV in this whole world, it's a very small, tight-knit group. Everyone knows each other. And you just kind of keep going from show to show with, different people that you've met.
Sure, absolutely. Mm. So, reality TV. Give me your take on reality TV. I feel like reality TV is very new, and yet I think it's really actually been around for a while now.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? 92 was Real World, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, it has. I love it. I still love it. Even I work in it all day and, watch footage all day, and then I'm watching it at night. I can't get enough. I find people's real lives so much more fascinating than, fiction and stuff that people write that, making up. So for me, it's just seeing people in their real lives is always going to win out. And I love, the people who come on and literally are willing to put it all out there. And that's what you have to do. When I was in casting, what we kind of say to somebody is, if you're not willing to really put every part of your life out there, don't even bother, because people will find out stuff. So you need to be open. You need to be willing to lay it all out on the line. And the people who do that are the people that we fall in love with.
Mm-hmm. Are you shocked, though, at how many people? I mean, to me, it's shocking that someone would live out their life in front of the camera the way they do. Are you shocked that so many people are interested in that?
No. I'm not. I mean, I feel like we live in a world right now of everyone's 15 minutes of fame.
Exactly.
And, you get so much from that. People start businesses from being on reality TV. People become very successful in other areas from being on reality TV, especially with our phones attached to us now and, TikTok and all that. It's just, that's what it is. Everybody, is kind of out there and putting it all out there. And I really think that's how you, as a person in this day and age, are going to be successful in the public eye. If you're trying to hide anything, forget it.
So how many of the people who come on, though, do you think come on with the idea that they're going to project something that's not necessarily who they are?
I think a bunch, but from what I've seen, I mean, percentage-wise, probably around 40%. But from what I've seen, it never works. Like we are producers. So in the field, first of all, there's a huge casting process. So we, not only talk to each person, but talk to family, friends. We get the truth usually before these people even come onto the show. Once they're on the show, there are people, producers in the field who are really, with these people who are on the show like 24 hours a day. So it's very hard to hide stuff. Like we will figure out what's going on.
It makes me a little nervous.
Not in a creepy way, just in a professional
but still,
way.
Even in the professional way, it makes me a little nervous. But,
Yeah. So let me ask you this then. How much of it is, I know it's unscripted, but you guys need a good TV show. I mean, Tom works in scripted television and he gets that. And I understand that ratings are what, win the day. So how much of it is really unscripted, or is it directed in a certain direction? Let's put it that way.
Yes. So I think, a lot of what we do, and as I said, first of all, the casting process is probably the most important, part of it all. Because if you don't start with good people, with good stories, we're not only looking for good characters, good people who are going to be great on camera, we're looking for really good stories with layers, like what is going on in your life. So that's, first, we have people coming on who really have that. Stuff, nothing is made up or false. I'm going to say that. Sometimes people are put in situations where they wouldn't normally be in, and to me, it's almost like a little bit of a social experiment because you're kind of putting these people in certain situations and you're like, okay, now knowing everything that we know about you and your personality, knowing your history and your backstory, let's see how you're going to react in this situation. So, nothing is ever contrived in a way that is anywhere close to scripted, but it's stuff like, directed a little bit because we may know what's going to really bring out the best, story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But, no one's ever told what to say or anything.
Right,
like it's
right.
all
Right.
people, in specific situations.
I have a quick question. So let's go to the opposite end of that, because I assume there must be hand-holding that's involved a lot. Because I can imagine someone getting to the edge they didn't think they would get to and saying, I'm done. I am walking. Sue me. I'm out. So have you had situations like that, and have you been able to kind of talk them off the ledge, so to speak?
You know what? I mean, first of all, absolutely. I worked on Wife Swap for years, and I can't even tell you how many times we had people.
I don't think you even have to say much more, do you?
God bless them, but wow.
I can only imagine your experiences there.
Threatening to leaving, a lot. And honestly, a lot of the times we'll follow that story, and I will say a lot of the times stuff that comes up while we're filming is not what we even went in thinking is going to happen, but we are very accustomed to kind of then pivoting and following whatever story because it's usually better than what we even thought or were planning on.
Sure.
So, we'll film someone saying that they're going to leave and walk off, and we'll follow them until they, really are ripping off their mics and, but
even after that, right?
But that's real. That's story, that's a boiling point for someone. Most of the time they end up after calming down, people will come back, because they will want to, and we'll explain to them too, you don't want to end like that. Like you want to come back and be able to say what happened, why you got so angry, explain it a little bit.
Sure.
So we do a lot of times get people back, but it happens all the time.
So Allison, talk about, because you've been on so many different shows. You just said Wife Swap. Obviously that one was a challenge. Was that your most challenging show to keep things together, or what, where was the biggest challenges?
Yes. I mean, honestly, Wife Swap was, because there hasn't been another show, in my opinion, where you put people in situations that are so outside of their comfort zone and for so long. These people are like living really in someone else's house for weeks. So with a family that is completely different than yours. Don't worry, there were locks on the doors. We had to have locks on the doors. Production was there at all times. But it is a real, like, I don't know how you don't go a little bit insane, being put in these situations.
But obviously people realize what it is. They're not coming in the dark. And it's amazing. And I go back to what you said before, Andy Warhol, 15 Minutes of Fame. It's a big pull. It's a big pull.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Yes.
I sort of thought you were going to say, which I can understand, wife swap. That is just so, because there's kids involved. There's all these, that's just insanity. But I thought you were going to say something about real world because you were dealing with all these, 18 to 20 somethings. And that is enough to just make you want to pull your hair out, I would think, especially when you get them in some of the circumstances.
Yeah, no, that is definitely challenging in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with that show, because it was just at the beginning, nobody really knew.
Right.
And, we were all kind of figuring it out together. Nobody really knew what was going to happen, what this was going to be, what it was. So it was everybody kind of figuring it out together. It was like a much different experience, than some of these more established shows. And once reality TV really got more going and we knew how to produce it and we knew, what we were doing more.
And I would think the opposite might be true, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the first one. So you've got these kids going, I want to do this right, I would think. I would think they don't know where they can go.
Right.
The second show would probably be, we can go off the hook.
Absolutely.
So let's just go crazy.
Right. I'll get more airtime. I saw what that guy did, so I'm going to get more airtime.
Well, that's usually what happens with the second seasons of shows too. So I worked on the first season of Catfish on MTV, where, the first season of that show, nobody knew, like people were so unsuspecting that we were filming with. Nobody knew what was going to be going on. That show, it's somebody's dating somebody that they've met online, but they've never met in person before. Right. And when they show up to meet that person in real life for the first time, it is not at all who they thought it was.
Right.
So doing the first season of that show was so real and so raw, and then as it went on in more seasons, it becomes a little more like people
learn it.
Become a little more wise to what we're looking for, what to do, know. So, but the first seasons of shows are always great for that. You just get like the most real raw stuff.
Interesting.
So, Allison, my last question about this is just, is reality TV here to stay, or do you think it will ultimately run its course? I mean, are there more ideas out there, crazier ideas about what to do?
Yes, I think it is. The bar is getting more and more high, with all these dating shows now, and 90 Day Fiance being one of them, which is so popular. We have a ton of spin-offs from that show. I think like the Married at First Sight, where you just are laying eyes on somebody and marrying them. Love is Blind. I think that category, that really stems from The Bachelor is ripe for all different kinds of situations, and people love it. Love it. Yeah. So that category I see growing a lot. And honestly, reality TV, it gets amazing ratings, and it's not as expensive to make as scripted, so from a business standpoint, it just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's here to stay. I think people will continue to do crazy things, right?
And then now it's some of the best scripted shows out there are based on that kind of format. What We Do in the Shadows, Modern Family,
right.
The Office,
right.
That kind of POV follow.
It's
led to some great shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so true.
You are also an entrepreneur, shady lady behind us. Tell us a little bit about the hat company. It's so great.
Yes. So I started this during COVID. TV stuff had kind of shut down, and I have a lot of creative energy and needed something to do. And I was actually looking for a hat for myself because I was very jealous. I have 2 little kids at home, and my husband would just throw on a hat and walk out the door. It was during COVID. I was not doing my hair, but still wanted to look decent. And I could not find a hat that fit me anywhere. They were all too big, too stiff. My ears were sticking out. I couldn't see out of the brims. I started doing research and really learned that all hats are made from the measurement of a man's head, even hats for women. And I was like, oh, no. We're not doing that. So I started, I worked, had a found a manufacturer and just started designing and creating hats made for women. So we have a much smaller dome, so it sits above your ears, so your ears don't stick out. We have a much shorter brim, so you can actually see, and really just make a bunch of cute, fun designs. So it also doesn't have to have a team name or, say some lame saying. I mean, they're really just fun, fashionable hats that really fit you correctly.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm with her.
Heads.
Oh, men.
Big,
I'm telling you.
Misshapen things that we are.
Seriously, not everything needs to be made for you guys.
No, they do not. That's right. They look
agree.
adorable. And I believe the peace sign one sitting right over your shoulder is your most popular design.
That is, yes, that is our best seller.
Yep, it's adorable.
It's
That's
just,
so cute.
It's just fun. It goes with everything. It's like year round. And it's great. And then we just came out with this performance line, which is all sweat wicking fabric. We're doing great.
Great.
I love it.
People can find it online, right? Shady Lady.
You can find it online, shopshadylady.com. We're also on Amazon. We're also on Macy's.com. And we're in around 50 boutiques across the country.
Fantastic.
Nice.
That is terrific.
Yeah. Keep an eye out and ask your local stores.
Yes.
That's how we get in there.
There you go. I love it. Listen, continued success.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was great.
We didn't even mention you're actually originally from Connecticut, so you're a New England gal.
A New England.
Yes.
See, more New England people that live in Los Angeles. Are you in Los Angeles? Are you in
Yes.
LA? Oh, okay.
Now I am. But yes. Yeah, originally Connecticut.
That's terrific. Well, listen, happy holidays, and thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thank you.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you
you.
for having me, guys.
You bet. Absolutely. I love her because she's open to talking about reality TV.
That was super interesting.
It
That
is
was
interesting.
super interesting. Yeah,
she is
I love
really
that.
great.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little hockey/singing. That's the secret.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
the
I'm looking forward
tease
to
right
this
there.
one. Yeah.
This is Carrigan and Company. The holidays are here, and if you're looking to brighten someone's day, I hope you'll consider some of the incredible lighting options at Lucia Lighting and Design for inside or outside the home. Get that special someone the perfect gift they want, but might not buy for themselves from Lucia Lighting and Design at 311 Western Avenue in Lynn. They have so much more than lighting, with several showrooms full of furniture, accessories, art, rugs, and fans. Gift certificates are a great option if you know your gift recipient will want to pick out their own pieces. Learn more at lucialighting.com.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spice, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum, which is smooth and sweet with a warm roasted coffee flavor, a hint of vanilla, and a decadent buttery finish. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Carrigan and Company is brought to us by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Go to nsmt.org now to get your tickets to the 35th anniversary production of A Christmas Carol, playing December 5th through the 22nd. Welcome back, everybody, to Carrigan and Company. So glad that you could be with us, and I am so glad that my co-host, keeping me company, could be with me today. He is an actor. He is a writer. He is a producer. He's also a New England native. We're so happy to have Tom Schanley with us today, and it's fun to have you here. We're having a good time.
I'm loving it. It's
We've talked about a little reality TV, and now we're going to talk about something that I think is very near and dear to a lot of New Englanders' hearts. That is for sure. I am so happy to have as our guest today, Todd Angilly. You know him from the Boston Garden, and he is the guy who sings the anthem before the Bruins games. And it's great to have you here.
Yes, it's great to be here. Thank you.
I got to tell you, Todd, people adore you. I mean, that's really not a joke. I mean, you've been doing this since 2019. Took over for the very famous Renee Rancourt.
Absolutely.
And you have made a name for yourself in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, it's been such a fortunate opportunity, and you know, I try not to take myself too seriously and really focus on what I'm doing and who's around me, and it's just such a wonderful opportunity to do a lot of good things, and that's really what I want to focus on with this, and I think I've kept that focus, you know.
Well, I think that's what's so great about it, that you've taken it much further than singing the anthem or "O Canada" on occasion, here at the Garden before the Bruins games, and you've turned it into, community service.
Yeah, I was a probation officer for 12 years. Originally went to school to be a teacher. Always wanted to be involved. Always loved, the community aspect of life, and it was just so interesting because I just thought it was going to be singing the anthem before a game, and that was it. And the request to go out and do things, whether they were corporate gigs or whatever. But then what really started to develop was all these community events, fundraisers, foundations that were looking for a way to kick off their event, and then you start to see the effect it has on people. And it was actually something that I got scolded about with my wife, because people would come up and offer all these, like, it's still uncomfortable. Even your introduction, it's still uncomfortable for me. And I would kind of, somebody would come up and say something really positive, and I go, oh, no, whatever. And my wife would say, no, you can't do that, because they're really taking, they're putting themselves out there to say these things to you, and you come off like, and it's just, it's been something that's been, I say, hard to get used to, just because I'm just another person. I'm just another that has a fortunate opportunity to do some really good stuff,
That's a great attitude to have about that, though, my man.
Well, yeah.
That's a great attitude to have.
I said to Tom earlier, talking about some of his wonderful roles, and he said something about being lucky. And I said, well, okay, yeah, maybe there's some luck, but there's talent associated with this. And that's the same thing for you. I didn't realize, you're trained.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that. You went to school?
Yeah. So it was kind of funny. Like anything else in life, I think it just kind of falls into your lap or whatever. I went to school to be a teacher. I went to Plymouth State. I grew up in Rhode Island. Had dreams of playing football, D3, but got a scholarship to in the music program there, and it just grew into this. I was just gonna sing in some of the groups, but concentrate on becoming a teacher, my education, and then had these opportunities, and I auditioned for a show, and I had done shows before in high school and all that. Even aspirations to maybe be an actor as well, but I just didn't really take it that seriously, and I got cast in the spring musical that they do up there, which is a big deal, and I made the lineup as a soldier in a not Gilbert and Sullivan, but one of the music. Anyways, and it was kind of like this instant addiction. I was like, whoa, because I had a solo, and it was just a great experience. And then it kind of just clicked, and then it actually happened up there. The football team needed someone to sing. Now, I had been scouted by the football team and then decided not to play because I wanted to concentrate on on my education. And so they said, we need an anthem singer. So my voice teacher said, I had a call from the athletic department. They need an anthem singer and I'm the son of a veteran, and the anthem was always important in my house and all. I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And went down, and they grabbed me on the way out, and they're like, yeah, we'll see you next home game. And then it just stuck. Small school, big fish in a little pond kind of scenario, but it was pretty soon they were just calling me for every event. And the president of college would have a thing, and come on in and sing that, and it just kind of whatever. And then came down to Boston to go to grad school. Wanted to get my master's in education, and got into the opera program at New England Conservatory, and again, just kind of like more and more
the opera program.
Just there, that little conservatory.
Not taking it for granted, but not taking myself too seriously, because son of two individual, my parents that own their own businesses. It was very real in my house. Not that we weren't loved, but it was more like a business relationship. Kind of like no news is good news, or whatever it is. It was just a different upbringing for me. But I just didn't think it was ever going to, whatever. And things just kind of happened. So yeah, I appreciate you see talent and all that. But yeah, sometimes it's just maybe being in the right place at the right time, or just stepping up and taking a shot. And again, I can get to talk, and I apologize, but that's what happened with basically the first time singing here was I had a decision. do I, so no, I don't want to, or do I say, well, all right, let's.
So
do it.
let's back up for a second, because I was sharing this a little bit with Tom, and he said he's going to tell us that story, right? And I said, well, we'll ask him. So you were a bartender here at the Garden during home games.
Yeah.
So you take it from there.
Yeah, so actually, when I was at New England, when I first came to Boston, I started working at Fenway, and I was singing there and sung a couple of Patriots games and even Celtics. But someone said you should audition for, to be sing, for the Bruins, and I said, oh, absolutely not, because what happened was working at Fenway, and then a lot of the people would go over to, back then it was the Fleet Center, it was 98.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're just going back and forth, and hey, for me, what better place I've got jobs where I'm working in kitchens, you work and you eat. But I would go out and watch him at the home games. I'd sneak out of the kitchen. I started in the suites kitchen, and I'd watch him, and I just the whole aura of it.
Yeah.
And someone said, I'm not touching that. I'm not even attempting that. And then somebody did say, because towards the end of his career, Rene would take some games off. So they needed what they called fill-ins. So I do like one game a season and treat it as like an opportunity. Me and my wife would come into the game and I'd sing, and then we'd go get dinner, and, it was a nice night out. But then, it was the year, I don't know what year it was, but it was the year that Vegas came on the scene. And I don't know what happened. It wasn't Rene, the fill-in who was supposed to be there, or be here, whatever, at that night, didn't show up. But they didn't realize it till about 15 minutes before game time. So I'm in the bar at this point, I've progressed in my position, and I'm bartending, the place is packed, and I hear some woman screaming my name. And I look over, and it's the young lady who sends you out onto the ice when you're singing, and she's got the headset on, and she's got like 8 or 10
This
Police.
is a reality television
Yeah,
show, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I was just, and somebody screaming my name, and she's going like this, and she's got the clipboard and everything, and she's going, you got to sing, and I just happened to look out because the bar I was in was inside the arena, and the game clock says 6:45, game's at 7. And I go, well, I got to talk to my boss. And she goes, there's no time. And one of the officers grabbed me by the shoulder, and he's like, let's go. And they pulled me out from behind the bar. And it was like one of those things, like a security detail. They had everybody up against the walls, and they were like rushing me to the elevator, and they had the elevator held open. And I'm trying to run. I'm like, I can't breathe now. I'm not made for this, guys. What's going on? And incidentally, my boss had, because I was a probation officer at the time, my boss happened to just come walking in and sees, 10 Boston police officers pulling his bartender out and he's going,
Beautiful.
well, another, and I went down, and they said, they threw a jacket on me, and they said, go out and sing. I heard the famous Jim Martin, who was the in-game announcer for over 20, and they now to sing the national anthem. I walked out, sang the anthem. I walked off, and I said, can someone tell me what happened? And they said, yeah, the person who's supposed to sing didn't show up, so thanks. And gave him the jacket back, gave him the microphone. I said, well, I'll go back to work now.
Go back to work.
I'll have 2 Manhattans.
Yeah, right. And no escort back to the bar or anything. I was just a regular person at this point.
Right.
And it was funny because I walked right behind the bar, and people are laughing because you have your regulars, but there was always different people in there, at nights. And I walked up, and I see this young lady, and I said, yeah, what do you have? And she's like, and she's looking out, and she's like, did you just? I said, yeah. How'd it sound? What do you have? And she just couldn't figure it out. So, but I try to. I've had some fortunate opportunities of, speaking, at schools, and I actually spoke at the commencement for my alma mater a couple of years ago, and that's kind of like what I try to say is like, an opportunity presented itself, and I could have shied away from it, but take a shot. Just take a shot.
Absolutely.
You've
always got to be ready when your chance comes. It usually just comes once or twice, and
exactly.
you got to always be ready.
Yeah.
That's like a backup quarterback, right? Always be ready.
Yeah.
Your time may come.
That's a great story.
Yeah,
man.
it's a great story.
it was
great story.
Great story.
Okay, so I talked to Todd prior to coming in for the show, and I asked him, when you come, would you be willing to sing a bar or 2 or 3 for us? And we're taping this on the 17th of December.
Yeah.
So obviously we're in the heart of the holiday season. Are you out singing holiday tunes here and there?
Yeah. We do a wonderful thing. I do it on my own with different organizations and things like that. But also through the Bruins, I've been going out and singing at season ticket holders' houses. And so I've been all over it. And I'm not really good at planning the attack or planning the route. I went Saturday. I went from Brighton to Ludlow to Cohasset.
Oh, boy.
So I'm really not sure why I planned it out like that, but those are the people. And so, and then we're carrying on the tradition. I'll be up at the Manchester by the Sea Police Department right in the town common there, singing for the community there. Again, there's people having me out, Christmas parties, whatever that is, show up. Sometimes they want an anthem and some Christmas songs. So we were in Malden. The mayor of Malden came out. There must have been, 200-300 people. Everybody's out and hot chocolate and cookies and this and that. And just, again, it all stems from when it first happened, with COVID and the pandemic and all that stuff, trying to develop or create new ways to just promote positiveness, because at the time, we weren't sure what was going on, and there was a lot of fear, there was a lot of uncertainty, and so we were, doing Christmas parades and jumped on the back of a truck and drove around Linfield and was singing songs with a DJ on the back. It's just so, one person had said at one point, maybe a couple years into me doing this, being the anthem singer, and said, oh, geez, really stinks that it happened now. And I said, well, I think it's all in how you look at it. It showed us there was other ways to be positive and other ways to utilize the opportunities and just, again, bring some positiveness to at the time when people just needed to smile.
Yeah,
a little bit,
you were named the singer in 2019, and then boom, we were in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
So no hockey, no anything. Right.
Yeah.
No forum.
Nope.
You've turned it into something great. I think that was all meant to be, don't you? Yeah. It feels like it now.
And I just try to be humble. A lot of that too is based on Renee and I. We talk. Periodically, and he's been so supportive, and I could go on and on with some of the things that we've talked about and some of the stories he's told, but most of all is what he has said to me and what the wisdom that he has kind of like given to me has really helped me to just remain focused on. And I'll tell you quickly, he said, he goes, I'm going to tell you it has the opportunity to get in your head and present it to make you kind of go a different way with it. He goes, but I like how you're making it a part of the community and you're being philanthropic and all that. He goes, I felt like I would have to check myself every so often. Sure. And he told this great story. He said I was going into a retirement home and to do a gig or whatever, and there was a woman sitting in the lobby reading a book, a resident, and she was reading a book. And he goes, I walked up to her and I said, do you know who I am? And she said, no. But if you go up to the front desk, they'll tell you. And you know what I mean? And he goes, those were things I had to, to check myself. And so, every so often I got to do the same thing, and just because it really, it's such a fortunate area that we live in. You've been all over. Other regions don't have that passion for sports that we have.
You're right.
I could be anywhere, and they're like, "Hey, you're Todd Angilly, the anthem singer." Like, who knows the anthem singer? You know what I mean? So,
but that's got to never get old. No matter how many times you go onto that ice, especially with a home crowd, and sing that song, it's got to be kind of the same thrill almost every single time, right?
Oh, it
never gets old, right?
No, it absolutely doesn't.
I can imagine.
It absolutely doesn't. There's always a different focus. There's always a different energy. Always a positive energy.
That's awesome. I love it. All right. Pick us one of your favorite tunes, and we've got just a short amount of time here, and sing it out for us.
Oh, so do we want Christmas? Do we want something?
Sure, let's hear a holiday tune. What do you think?
Wow.
Tom, is that cool with you?
I'm all about it.
I know you're going to get to see it on Christmas Eve. Unfortunately, I will not. So, all right.
Well, one of my favorites is, Dean Martin made it famous. He would... the snow is snowing and the wind it is blowing, but I will weather the storm. What do I care how much it may storm? I've got my love to keep me warm. A little snippet there for you.
That'll work. Yeah, that'll work. And now what I'd like to do is sing it quietly.
Right. Well, I was singing along. Todd, you are amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were a part of the show today. I'm so glad.
I'm sorry I talked a lot. I just...
Are you kidding? You were here to talk.
I know, but...
Everything you said is interesting, so that's not a problem.
Todd Angilly, of course, the next time you can see him, will be right here on the ice, singing... I was going to ask you real quickly, though. Oh, Canada. How's that?
I love
I think
singing
you're
"O Canada."
you do it really well.
I enjoy it. I try to give it the respect, and I will say that one of my my treasured memories of it, or whatever it is, with doing the Canadian national anthem, is the social media interaction. I'll have people from Canada messaging me and saying, "I just wanted to thank you for singing our anthem with respect," and I could see myself sending that message to somebody in another country when they sing ours. So I think it's important.
Yeah.
And we've got Canadians on the Bruins, so
That's it.
But a lot of the different anthems are fun. But I'll give you a homework assignment. You're going to want to listen to the Italian national anthem. That's one of my favorites as well.
Okay.
So exactly what you probably think it should sound like
Yes.
is what it sounds like.
I'll bet
it's
it
a great
does.
anthem.
Todd Angilly, thank you so much. It was great to have you. Happy holidays.
You as well.
Great meeting
Thank
you,
you.
man.
It
You
was
as well.
great to
Thank
meet you. All right. We'll take a break, everybody. When we come back, it's Fast Five time. This is Carrigan and Company.
New England's brightest holiday tradition returns. A Christmas Carol is celebrating its 35th anniversary at North Shore Music Theater, now through December 22nd only. Tickets at nsmt.org.
Our friends at Sienna Aesthetic Spa in Beverly want to thank their loyal customers with a pre-holiday special. Get 50 units of Botox or any toxin and get 10 units free. And before you get those injections, how about a skin prep with a Hydrofacial Express for $150? That's a $199 value. Oh, and one more thing. The folks at Sienna will add a complimentary dermaplaning treatment to that facial. Get ready for the holidays. Set up your free consultation with the experts at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Go to siennaaesthetics.com. This segment of Carrigan and Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Welcome back, everybody, to Carrigan and Company. Tom Schanley keeping me company today. So we obviously just had Todd on singing. Boy, that voice.
What a cool show this was.
Yeah,
I got
no
lucky
kidding.
on.
We
Thanks
did,
for
yeah.
inviting me to this one. Wow.
I asked you off the air. I'm going to ask you now on the air. You said, "Oh well, I'll sing quietly." But you can sing.
Like I said, if a tune's got a good handle on it, I can carry one of those. But my musical days were left back in college.
So, would you say, as an actor, though? I mean, can most actors sing a tune or maybe dance a step? Is that important?
I would think so. I think along your younger training, especially if you want to do it when you were younger, that's part of the whole thing. You know, like anything else, you got to keep it up, right?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
But see me on a karaoke night, okay?
You can see me on a karaoke night, and I will have. I need to drink a lot of wine before I start to sing.
Wine, Mai Tais, whatever.
It takes. As you well know,
Yes.
we do this little thing here called the Fast Five. It's the College Hype Fast Five. It's rapid fire answers to questions that we pose. College Hype, making a difference, one T-shirt at a time. Visit collegehype.com today. We love our sponsors, College Hype.
Okay.
They're good to us, that is for sure. All right, if you are ready, sir, you get 30 seconds to answer these 5 questions.
Okay.
What is one of your family's favorite holiday traditions that you will be doing this year?
Oh, well, on our Christmas Eve, we gather some family and friends and eat lasagna. And laugh a lot.
I like that. If you could do one of these more than others, would you do TV, would you do movies, or would you do theater?
Wow, that's a tough one. I would say television.
Can I ask you why?
Just because it's much more consistent. You can take a character and develop it perhaps through an entire 8 seasons.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
it's solid work.
There you go. If you weren't an actor, what would you have done?
For a time, I toyed with trying to go to the Air Force Academy because I wanted to be a pilot. But at that time, because I wore corrective lenses, I would not have been able to be a pilot. It wasn't necessarily my first choice, but it was what I was kind of thinking of.
Absolutely. Who is the actor that you would most like to work with that you have not?
I'm going to give you 2. Ian McKellen and Ryan Gosling.
Tell me who Ian McKellen is. I'm not sure I know.
Oh, he's a famous British Shakespearean actor. He was Gandalf in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
You shall not pass. Ugh, that guy, man. That voice.
I love it. Favorite thing about coming home to Manchester by the Sea?
The town and my family.
Yeah. How often do you get here?
Try to get here twice a year, summer and and the holidays.
Is there anything better than Manchester by the sea in the summer?
Yeah, not much.
I mean, I know you live on the West Coast.
Yeah,
and I know the West Coast is all nice and fine, but there's just something about those New England summer days, don't you
Absolutely,
think?
no question about it. It's I'm very fortunate because I live in Santa Monica, close to the coast, about 3 blocks from the sand there, and I come home here. I've been around water my whole life, so I wouldn't miss it without it.
Absolutely. I am so glad that you were able to come on the show with
Yes.
us today. These our friends at College Hype. They
Oh,
send
wow.
everybody home with a T-shirt, and I want to give you this one. It's nice and bright and red, but it's got long sleeves, which
I
is
love
great,
it. That's right up my alley. Yeah, that's
I
beautiful.
love it. Yeah,
I'm
so
wearing this
Boston.
home.
There you go. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim.
Well,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Listen, this has been so much fun. Tell me what's coming up for you in the future here.
Well, I finished an episode of a show called Bosch Legacy, which is a continuation of the original show. But I did it before I did NCIS, and it's not coming out till March. The new season doesn't release till March. So hopefully there'll be some stuff coming up between now and then. And I'm in the process with some partners of developing a TV series, which is actually will be set here in Boston. If it goes. It's a police procedural that takes place in the 90s with a supernatural twist.
I absolutely love that idea. Anything supernatural for me, I'm all in, that is for sure. That's not an easy project to get off the ground, though, is it?
No project.
Well,
you can't get a
I'm
puppet
sure.
show off the ground
I
these
feel
days.
sure you're right.
You know?
I feel sure you're
But
right.
hey, it keeps you creative and hopeful and frustrated.
Absolutely. Well, I understand that. But listen, we're so lucky to have you from here in New England doing all the great things that you
Well, thanks.
have
It's
done,
been-
and I know you will continue to do. So continued success, and thanks for taking some time during your vacation here in New England to
Well,
visit
thank you
with us.
so much for having me. This was a blast today.
I'm
So
glad
thank
you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And thanks to all of you for listening or watching. Be sure that you check this out on YouTube if you are listening to us. And you can, of course, get this wherever you get your podcasts. And if you go to YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. We will see you next time right here on Carrigan & Company. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Carrigan & Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Carrigan & Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Carrigan & Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley. And our social media managers are Grace Carrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.